Okay, we're live. I've just set up GitHub Copilot. So today we're gonna see what GitHub Copilot does and how it helps, if it helps. And let me know if you can hear the background noise as well, because there's a little bit of there's someone cutting the lawn or mowing the lawn, I think. So if you can hear that, I will close the door so you won't have to listen to it. Oh, you can't hear that. Okay, that's good. Okay. The question is, how does Copilot work? Void, automate task. Maybe there's like some explanation somewhere. How to use GitHub Copilot. You can ask chat to give code, Copilot chat to give code to this. In the Visual Studio menu bar, click View, then click GitHub Copilot Chat. In the Copilot Chat window, enter a prompt and then press enter. It will auto-suggest code once you start writing. Okay. View. In the Visual Studio menu bar, click View, then click GitHub Copilot Chat. View, GitHub Copilot Chat. We do not have it. Does that mean that we don't have it? GitHub Copilot view. Okay, so that's where we see it. Okay, so let's search for some to-dos just to see what we need to do. Create a save button with this function, stop time entry. Okay, I think we've done that. Change. Okay. Make sure the updated text in the controller is used when saving the task. Okay. Okay, well, how to use GitHub Pilot extension. Set up your GitHub Copilot. Install the GitHub Copilot. Sign into GitHub. Validation, check Copilot status. Open Visual Studio Code, notice GitHub Copilot icon in the status bar, which indicates that GitHub Copilot is active. Okay, that status bar. Where's the status bar though? Here? It's not active. Okay. GitHub login failed. Status extension activation fail. Sign into GitHub, allow. Authorize Visual Studio Code. Open. All right. Now I think we have Copilot working. Welcome, I'm your Copilot and I'm here to help you get things done faster. You can also start an inline chat session. What is that? Ask Copilot for commands. I'm powered by AI, so surprise possible. Make sure to verify any generated blah blah blah. Fix the problems in my code. Tests and add unit tests for my code. Explain how the selected code works. Okay, so the little stars that I get, I can use to like ask something. What does this do? The provided code snippet is a Dart function named blah blah blah. When this function is called, it will execute the update text function. The purpose of the rate pressed function seems to be related to updating text in some user interface element. However, without further context, the implementation of update text function is difficult to provide. If you can provide more information on the update text function. Okay, well, I don't know how useful that was, but it might be useful. We'll see. Bro, I've been following you on YouTube for 3 years. Not gonna lie, I started Kali Linux from one of your videos and now I'm second year of CS. That's really cool. I'm gonna use this stream as a lo-fi background. I'm gonna start coding. That's the idea for me. For it to be just like something you can have on in the background while you code and you can hang out with me at the same time. Okay, set the text in the text field to be the task. So I'm not personally faster with HTML. To me, Dart makes way more sense, but that's just because I've never really worked with HTML, so I'm faster with Dart. I'm the first that you meet that's faster at Dart. Yeah, probably because I haven't really put any time into HTML. I think it seems like maybe I should should put some effort into that. What's your opinion on React Native rather than Flutter? I get this question all the time. I should just write down like an answer somewhere and maybe pin it in the chat or put it in the description of the video. The only reason that I use Flutter is because that's what I started out using, so I'm very comfortable using it. Like I said just before, like HTML, I don't know how to use HTML. Like I know some basics, but for me, I just never really spent enough time on it to kind of grasp it, or for it to click. So that means that to me, this is like way faster. And if I wanted to go into React Native, I would have to learn HTML and CSS, which may not take that long, but it's still an effort to do that. I'm using Block for the state management. So where were we? Make sure that the text in the controller updates and saves. You should invest into that, as the other is only string and string manipulation is near the same. So works, you need less objects. Yeah, I probably should. Everything, like I've tried to put stuff in the description of the stream, so if you want to know what I'm working on, you can kind of look there, and I tried to put all the relevant information in there as well. I don't really have a Dart book that I would recommend. I don't know even how I learned Dart or Flutter, but if you know Java, then Dart is pretty much the same, and then you just need to understand like how to set everything up to show stuff on the screen the way that Flutter wants you to do it. Yeah, I came from Java, so Dart is pretty much exactly the same, just with a little bit less effort needed maybe. Yeah, I think everything needs a class. That's pretty accurate. Why is task inside the build method? Isn't used. Okay, I don't know. Is it not used? Well, apparently not. There's a lot of unnecessary code in this probably, but now I need to get to actually figuring this out. So make sure the updated text in the controller is used when saving the task. So what this means, why do they keep changing places? I always want to have the code or the app and that stuff running in the middle so that I can swipe to the left and get to the browser, and then swipe to the right and get to the code. But they keep switching places for some reason. Enterprise quality coding, FizzBuzz Enterprise Edition. It's FizzBuzz coded in Java Enterprise Style JS. It's single line around 40 characters. FizzBuzz. Enterprise software marks a high special grade, blah blah. FizzBuzz is a game that has gained popularity. Oh, okay. Is it a single line of code? Okay, I keep getting sidetracked. I need to focus. All right, so this is the problem that we're working with. If I press one of these things, the text field will populate with that, which is a task. And if I start the timer starts. But when I stop and I save, okay, now that worked for some reason, but it shouldn't have worked. If I start the timer now, and stop it, add programming, add a start time of 7, okay. Okay, so we do have some bugs here, but okay, it seems to work now for some odd reason. Because yesterday what happened was that whenever I pressed one of these things, it just didn't save. So we ended up with all of these tasks here that just don't have any tasks attached to them, which I don't really know how that happened now. But let's say that we set a time to be, no, wait, 7:40. And then we press start. Okay, so now that doesn't work. Why does that not work now? Okay. Start time from date. If start times that is empty, print hello. Okay, so actually this if statement is not what we want. Even if it did work, this is not what we want, because this just checks if start times is empty, then and start time does not equal null, then we go in here and we set a start time from a date. So the idea is that if we run it from the start, when we go here, if the start time is equal to 0 and we don't have any start times created, then what we'll do is we'll look at this thing if we press start, and then it basically calculates up to an hour. But the thing is, what if we do something like this, where we start the timer right now. But then we also realized that actually we didn't start working right now. We actually started working at 8:40. Then what happens is it doesn't update this because we don't get into this method anymore. But really what should happen is it should update this. But how should it update it? Okay, so let's think about this. Write it out. What should... If the start time is changed manually, if you click start, couldn't you set the start time input to the current time? If you click start, couldn't you set the start time input to the current time? Then you could always use the input date/time. Then you wouldn't have to keep track of multiple start times. Yeah, that's... the idea is that we want to be able to keep track of multiple start times because let's say that I start the timer right now and then I'm like, oh, actually I got a phone call and I have to stop the timer. So I take the phone call for a couple minutes and then I go back and I start again. Then I don't want the... I would like to have dates and timestamps for the pauses as well so that we can then keep track of like, this is how much time you spent working and this is how much time was spent doing other things in that time. And in that sense, it does make sense to have a list a list of start times and end times. So if the start time is changed manually, then create a new entry in start times and end times at position 0. That is the length of time from the new start time until the first start time, until the previous first start. Okay, so I think that helps us with where to put the new start time and end time. But then we also need to update the actual, like this text here needs to update. And the way to do that, then update the timer to text to correspond to the new total time. Okay, so where do we see when the start time is changed manually? I think we see that. Time setter. And this then calls back to select time. So we have the select time, set start time. So that should happen here. If the start time is changed manually, then create a new entry in start times and end times. Okay, so that means that we need to take the start times maybe we need to create a new list. New start equals that list date time new end equals empty list. So then what we do, I think, is we take the new start. Let's see what happens. Local variable new start can't be referenced before it's declared. Try moving. Okay, I don't know what they're doing. Dot add, and then we'll add the start time, which is the new start time that gets set. So that means that element zero in this list is now the user set start time. Yeah, how do you get the suggestions to work with Copilot? Copilot suggestions VS Code. You must have an active subscription to you must have when you install this extension Copilot Chat, follow these steps to set up inline suggestions. Copilot offers when you're presented enable or disable. Okay. Well, it seems like it doesn't want to it doesn't want to suggest anything. Maybe that's because the code that I'm writing is so like, it doesn't understand it, so it can't suggest anything. Okay. New end dot add start times 0. So what should happen here then is that if the user has already pressed the start timer button, then we use that as the end time, I think. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but the idea is if we run it, open it up. So if the user has already pressed start here and let the timer run for a couple seconds and then realized, oh, actually, I didn't start right now, I started at 9 o'clock. Then what should happen is the first work session should go from when they say that they started, 9 a.m., until the time that they pressed the start button again, because that's the first block of work that they did. And maybe, actually, I'm just thinking maybe we don't need to add an end time yet, and we maybe just need to replace the start time. Yeah, I think that's actually what we need to do. We should replace the start time if there already is a start time. We should replace the first start time if there already is a first start time. So something that we need to do is we need to first check if start time dot is empty, then we should do something. This means know that the user has not yet pressed start timer. Okay, else the user has pressed start. So what this would mean is that we would have a list of start times. Start times is equal to a list of where we have some sort of date, 2024, 06, 11, and then whatever the time is, 09, 07, let's say. And it could also have more times than that in it, because maybe the user has paused and started a couple times. So we'll go 10, and then we'll go 11. So maybe that has happened. That then also means that we would have a list of end times. End times. Let's say that the first end time is at 9, it doesn't matter, but for for whatever reason, I just want to get this right. And then this one is at 11 o'clock. And this one is at 11:47. Okay, so that means that this is what the lists look like. And the idea is that once a new start time is set here, so let's say that we say that, oh, we started at 7. We will, in this place, start will be equal to start is equal to this now, 7. So the new start time, the new start is equal to this. And I think what we can do is we can just replace the first element in this list with this thing. Because then we can assume, I guess, that the user forgot to press start at the time when they actually started. And so when they set a new start time, they actually mean that this is not when I started, but this is when I started. So that means that we can replace this, I think. So that is then what we can do. So start times 0 equals start. I think that's all that we need to do, really. But then if it's empty, then all we need to do is start times dot add start. And these two seem very similar, but they're not. And I think that's it for that, because that means that we've now reset the actual start time. Now the next part to this is that we need to update the timer here, so that when we change this thing, this should update. And I do not know how to do that. So let's test out Copilot and see what it can do. So what do we need to have happen? Once this method is run, okay, so when set start time runs, I want the timer to get set, no wait, to update so that the start time is now the start from the where from the start timer, set start time function. Okay, let's see what it can do. To achieve this, you need to modify set start time to update the counter. Can we change it so that open chat window? Is there a way to have the chat down here instead? Okay. Okay. Okay, final now is datetime.now. No, actually, wait. Okay, it should actually be the original start time equals original start time equals date time dot now. Okay, let's see what happens if we run that. So let's start it. So we've started the timer. And then we stop it. And now say that we realize that, oh, actually, no, what? We didn't set the start time properly. So we realize that we started at 9. So we'll reset it to 9. And yeah, it does update the time. So that's good. Now the better thing would be if this is updated as soon as you change it, which may be possible if we use set state. So press play, 2 seconds, realize that, oh, we started at 9, and it updates. And then we can continue, and it will continue. Okay, good job, that works. What do you want to do? You're trying to set original start time to non-existing value. Oh, yeah. I just realized I was doing this wrong. Thank you for that. Thank you for pointing it out. I was doing it the opposite way. So if start times is empty, then of course there's nothing in the list, which means that we can't do what I was doing before, which was find the first element in the list. So what we need to do here is set it to now, and then down here there is something in the list. The user has pressed start, so there is something in the list, and we can then set it. Okay, so that should now be the proper way. Actually, I want to, no. Okay. Perfect, 22 minutes. So that is taken care of. Make sure that the text in the controller updates when saving the task. Okay, that's not what we've been doing. Okay, so the timer works properly. Now if we type in programming there and then press save, what happens? Yeah, so now we replicated the error. It should have said programming down here, but it doesn't. And I don't really know why that is. Because we did press save and So when we press save, what happens? Close, save, here, stop time entry. To do, update the, once the user presses save, make sure to get the text from the text field. And then we'll go up here. So tag IDs. Create task. Name task name in tasks. Update task info. Where do we do that? Okay, I think I know what we need to do. Because right now, the only time that we update or add anything into, so if we search for tasks.add, there's only 4 places where we add something, and they're all within this method, parse input string. And this method, parse input string, only gets called when the text field changes, which doesn't, so let's say that we print something here, print text field changed. If I'm correct, then what I'm thinking is that when we press this button here, nothing happens. It doesn't say text field changed here. It only says text field changed when we do, okay, it doesn't, oh, actually we need to rerun it. It doesn't say text field changed when I do that, but when I do that, it says text field changed, which means that only when I type something in the text field, it says that it's changed. But when I press one of these things, and I can press all of them, which I'm doing now, it doesn't say that the text field changed. So let's do this. And then when I press programming, nothing happens. And then I press in the text field and I do da-da-da-da-da-da, and it changes. So what that means is that we need to make sure that when we press one of these buttons, that we actually also update the tasks list. So update text field task.name. Here we also need to do tasks.add task name, maybe. Yeah, because that doesn't work. So name, okay. And now if we run it, when we press this thing and then we press save. Okay, so there's some sort of error there when end time has not been initialized. Okay, so this, another bug, but we need to go to save. And if start times.length equals end times.length and start end times dot is empty, not. So if end times is empty, then we won't get in here. So that means that if we do this, press programming, press save, nothing happens. But if we press start and then stop and then save, we'll get programming here. But we also need to test the thing where we don't have anything in the text field. Then we stop it, and then we press programming, and then we press save. And we still get programming. For some reason we get programming. I do not know why. Okay, run it again. Set a new start time, 8:30. Okay, and then do task, and then do save. Nothing happens. Why? Okay, now I don't know what's happening. If, okay, print start times dot length print end times dot length. No, I didn't watch the Apple event actually. Yeah, that's a list of all the symbols in the English alphabet. No, but I don't know what the best way to do that is, but it's basically we want to check for certain symbols. So what this whole method does is it checks so that in the text field, if we type in like an @ or if we type in a hashtag or we type in a $sign, then it should connect those to different objects in our program. But if we type in other things like percentage and all the other things that could be typed in, then it shouldn't do anything. Probably not the best way, but on changed. Okay. Okay, 1 and 0. So that means that when we haven't, if start times is empty, actually we can do something. So what's happening now is that when we set a start time here to be something else, but we haven't pressed play or pause yet, it means that we only have a start time now. And now we have a task. But when I press save, if we print the lists, we now have a start time, but we don't have an end time, which means that we can't really save that because we don't know how long the session was for. So what we need to do is we need to see that if they're not equal in length, but start times has a time, then we need to set the end time to be right now. And that means that we can then save it. So if else end times dot add date time now. Okay. And then we can do this. So now what should happen is we should get wait, field end time has not been initialized. End time has not been initialized. Stop time entry, we did that dart. Okay, maybe end time equals date time dot now, end times dot add end time. Okay, let's see what happens now. Again, 8:30, task, save. 1 hour 31 seconds. But why do we get an error? Field timer 39 has not been initialized. It was unexpectedly crazy with all the AI stuff. Also, Apple event is crazy. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't know what they did really. So we need this to reset, but I feel what happens is when we reset the timer here, we call the reset function, which then calls this thing, which if the timer hasn't been initialized, then I guess it just doesn't do anything, or it breaks because it cancels a timer that hasn't been started. Set state counter equals 0. Okay. Set counter reset counter So if we do reset counter here instead, then I think we've solved it. So 840 task save. Counter resets to 0 and the task is there and it's saved. Okay. task, programming. And then when this has been saved, we also need to set all the stop time entry. Stop time entry, okay, so then void reset lists. I mean, GitHub Copilot doesn't do anything. It should be suggesting things, I think, but it's not suggesting anything at all for me. Okay. Reset lists. Maybe it's just that my method names or function names are just too vague, so it doesn't understand what it's supposed to do. But here, reset all the lists of tasks, projects, tags, time entries when the time entry is saved. Okay, so tasks, tags equals an empty list, tasks equals an empty list, projects equals an empty list, time. Okay, I think that's all that we need to do. So then we call this method from here. So if we run that, it should mean that we can do that. We can start the timer, stop the timer, save. And then we have our tasks here. And if we go up and we do programming, task, and start again, go for 5 seconds, stop, save. I think that fixes our problem, because before what was happening, I think, is that if I just save a time entry and then I just start another one straight away without like restarting the app, then the list already has the previous task in it. Yeah, so I have the VS Code extension for it, but open completions panel. Disable completions. Enable completions. Show Copilot status menu. Okay, so I think we're getting close to something that is now pretty solid, except for the overflowing thing. I don't know really how I'm gonna go about that, but I don't think we're gonna have super many tasks. Actually, let's delete the database. It's always a good option, or a good choice. Helper, database helper. I just want to reset everything so that we can see what we're doing a little bit more. Delete the database. And then restart the app. Okay, now we're on a clean slate. So now let's say that the start time was 8 and we've been working for 1 hour, and the first task is we're programming And the project is time tracker, and we're also doing working in like live streaming, let's say. And then we press save. So then we get this new task here. Time tracker is the project. Tags is live streaming. The idea is that I want the user to be able to filter here, so that you can filter by tags or by tasks or by projects. Right now we're filtering by projects. And then you should be able to set the rate and that stuff as well. But I think this looks pretty good. And it seems to be working quite well. Now the only thing is, I want to also be able to add the color to our projects, so that we can set it, so that the user can set it themselves. The thing is, ideally I would want the user to be able to set the color for the project, the color for the tag, the color for the state, or the task. So project, tag, task. Okay. So now the question is like, what's a good way to set the colors of these things? I was thinking that we would have something where it's like where you type in @ and then you name a project. We would get some sort of suggestion here in the text field that's like, oh, set the color for this. But I don't know if that's something that you can do with Flutter. Let's maybe ask Copilot. Where is that text field? Here we go. Okay, why? There we go. Fix using Copilot. Okay, let's just see what happens, because I don't think I explained what I actually wanted to do. Wait, what? Okay. Hello? Okay, that's not at all what I wanted to do, but could be that we need to do something else. Okay, so we did take care of those things. But now is there a way to have a color picker show up for the user after they've typed in a specific word? It's in this example, when the user types the specific word, a color picker dialog will appear. The selected color is stored in picker color. Okay. Copy that code and then create a new file, color picker text field .dart, and then press. Oh yeah, and then we'll go back to the chart. Pub spec. And then we'll rename this. Rename widget color picker text field. And then time tracker text field. Okay, and let's just see what that looks like. Argument pointer event can't be assigned to the parameter type pointer down event. I've been watching you since 2021. You helped me a lot in my career. Thanks for your cool videos with your own vibe. You motivated me to and taught me how to plan my day and cool things in coding. Really like your devlogs. Do you want to film them again? Thank you for that. I am going to film devlogs. I'm gonna turn these streams into devlogs. Like, the idea is that these streams will be the actual coding, and if you want to see the coding, you can watch the streams. And then the devlogs will be me showing a fast-forwarded version of me programming all this stuff, but then also adding in whatever else I did that day, like today, whatever else I'm gonna do, I'll film and then make a video about that at some point. The playlist, a lot of people seem to be curious about the playlist, but it's nothing super special. This is the playlist. It's from Epidemic Sound, and that's what we're listening to. Okay. This error is likely due to a version mismatch between the Flutter color picker package and your Flutter SDK. Is not compatible with the latest versions of Flutter. You can try to fix this by using version of the Flutter color picker. As of now, the latest version is 0.6. Okay. What was the word again? When the user types in specific word. Okay, specific word. Pick a color. Okay, I think that's actually what we want. On changed. Controller, and then on changed. Okay, and then this one also needs a text editing controller. Final, text editing controller, and then required this dot controller. Can you explain what you envision for the app? I don't know, it's a time tracking app, and the best way to kind of explain what I envision, I guess, is to show the design of it. So I want the user to be able to, wait, where is it? Here, maybe. To see some sort of charts for their time. And I want, what other time tracking apps don't have is the filtering ability. From my experience, the filtering ability is not as modular or user specific as I want it to be, because for me it's like I'm working on several different projects, but they're all tied together in certain ways. Like, for instance, in this case, I'm working on a time tracker app, which is a project. But then this is connected to me live streaming it on YouTube, which is also a project. So those two things are happening at the same time. I'm also programming specifically, like that's a specific task that I'm doing, which I might want to be even more granular with that. I might want to say like, okay, well, now I'm actually working on designing the app, or maybe I'm working on back-end stuff versus front-end stuff, and like I want the user to be able to basically have as much freedom as possible in deciding what to track and how to track it. And then also I want the user to have as much freedom as possible in how to display that and how to combine different tasks and display them to themselves. So maybe I want to see how much time did I spend on YouTube this month, and maybe I want to see like how much time did I spend on YouTube programming versus how much time did I spend on YouTube editing. Like it's a bit hard to explain maybe, but from my experience, I haven't really found a good app that is able to do all of that stuff at the same time. If So for context, why I'm asking, I typically see time tracking apps in two ways, time-based or task-based. I'm right to assume that you're focusing on the task-based style. Depends. Like the other part to it is that I always use the, I don't know if you can pull that down. No, apparently not. I always use a timer app, like the regular timer app that you get in your phone. I always use that app to set times for myself when I'm working. So I set like, okay, now I'm gonna do a 3-hour coding block. I'll set a timer for 3 hours so that I can see, like, as it's counting down, I can see that I'm getting closer, and it also helps me just focus. So I want to add that functionality to the app as well, so that you can like set timers for yourself. But the problem with the regular timer app in the phone is that it doesn't track what I actually did, and it doesn't track how much time I've spent throughout the week. It literally just times, it's just a timer. And so my idea is I want to combine the timer app with something that just tracks that, if that makes sense. But that also means that we need to be able to do all of this stuff, which is just manually tracking our time. But that's the idea. I don't know what you mean really by time-based versus task-based, but do explain. Hey Cal, do you still have your boat? Yes, I still have a boat. And color picker, lol, but probably doesn't matter file name. Yeah, I'm using a local database, SQLite. Again, I feel like there's so many apps where you have to sign up for an account. Like any app that I download today, I always have to sign up for an account. And it makes sense in certain ways because certain type of data you don't want to save on your phone because it just takes up too much space. But this will just be text stuff, so it will take up like no space on the phone, which means that I feel like it's more worth it to have no need to sign up or no user management stuff. It's more worth doing that and saving a little bit of data on the phone versus being that annoying app where it's just like, I just want to track my time. I don't want to have to sign up for an account and get emails from a company. Now I wouldn't email you, of course, but still. Yeah, I've had a lot of success lately with the time2.me app. The approach is pretty interesting with a clock that runs permanently and one activity task only ends by starting a new one. That would be a time-focused one. Yeah, maybe. Feature idea: syncs like backup SQLite to Dropbox, G Drive, etc. Yeah, that could be a good idea. Why are you using Adobe XD? I'm using Adobe XD because it's the one that I have. I pay for the subscription to Adobe in general, so it just, for me, I have access to it, so that's what I use. And it's also the one that I've used when I started out, so it's the one that I'm familiar with. Not that I'm not efficient at all, and I'm not using like any of the features that are available. But, so I could use anything, and right now it's just the thing that I have. Why does it look harder when it comes to Dart, but if I use React Native, it looks easier than expected? Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are suggesting me learning a little bit of HTML and CSS and then getting into React Native. I might do that at some point, but it's hard when you're familiar with something. Is your Discord server still alive? I think you need to promote it. I think the Discord server is still alive. The thing is that I'm really bad in general at like I don't necessarily enjoy texting that much, and I'm not used to being in any sort of like servers chatting to people. So for me, it's just not something that I'm naturally inclined to want to spend time on. So when I started that, I just kind of felt pretty straight away that like I'm not the type of person that enjoys just sitting in a chat room, which I know a lot of people do enjoy. So, but I don't, and I more enjoy this stuff when it's like I can see your questions and I can answer them live, and I can spend a dedicated time doing it, versus having to reply, because I feel like I have to reply to so many things anyway, and then like adding Discord on top of that is just another thing that I feel like adds some stress for me. Plus it's also like stressful, like another stressor with that was that the moderator John was doing an amazing job, and like it's a weird situation where other people are doing more work on something that is supposed to be yours than you are, and I guess you just feel a little bit like, or I end up feeling uncomfortable in that situation, because I don't feel like, to me, the work that he was doing was way more work than I would want to do with something like that. So it just felt like I didn't really, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just didn't feel too comfortable with it. Yeah, I could imagine feeling stressed by a clock just running all the time. Time to app. Is this the one? Time to. No limits, no ads. What? Work. I do not understand this graph or chart at all. Is this like separate days? Or is this hours? I don't understand it. Time2.me. Time2.me. Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand the layout of it. Are you using the MacBook Air M1? Yeah, actually that's what I was gonna, thank you for reminding me. I was going to add this here. Computer, MacBook Pro M1 2020 16 gig. Okay. Now I updated that. That's really good. Nice to finally find this. How do you feel about coding while streaming? Can you focus? Yeah, it's difficult to focus. Like, I want to have a look at the chat, and then I also want to make some progress, but I think I'm keeping a relatively good balance. Getting started with Flutter, any tips before I dive in? No, not really. I would just suggest, well, what would I suggest? I would suggest looking into like maybe a simple tutorial for a simple app by someone on YouTube. So you just get the idea of like how to structure things and how to break things apart, and that will mean that you won't end up with giant files like I have of 800 lines of code, because that's not really what you want. What's the newest framework or tech you recommend, which is really impressive? I'm not super up to date with that sort of stuff, so I don't know. Is the MacBook Air M1? No, it's a Pro that I'm using, so I don't know if the MacBook Air is able to handle all that stuff. Do you still play the guitar? I still have the guitar, and no, I don't really do it. I had this idea of like, what if I just kept going and then did a video of like 365 days of practicing the guitar, and did an update on that, and I thought that would be very interesting. I still think that's very interesting, but I don't know, sometimes I feel like some of my projects are distractions from what I actually should be doing. Like, to me, coding is probably what I should be doing. Focusing on YouTube is what I should be doing. And so sometimes some of those side projects can take up more space than what's necessary. Although I could, of course, practice for like 10 minutes a day and it would still be something. Yeah, be careful of getting the M1 MacBook Air because it gives you very little storage after a while. Make sure you get a lot more storage than the minimum one. M1 Pro with the emulator streaming, impressive. Yeah, M1 Pro emulator streaming. And it's not even, yeah, it's not even warm. It's slightly warm, but not hot. Like, I've definitely had it get way warm, way hotter than this, where it's like hot to the touch. Now it's just sort of lukewarm. Once you have them, tend to stay somewhat yeah, the M1 chips, and I'm interested in trying the other ones, but just for now I don't see any need in actually updating this laptop because it's still like super fast, and I mean, I'm able to do all this from a laptop, which, I mean, a laptop that's 4 years old now, which is pretty impressive. Okay. What can we do here? Okay, I'm setting a timer for 1 hour and 8 minutes, I think. Actually, I'm gonna grab my protein shake. This makeshift ass setup, but okay. 1 hour and 7 minutes, so until 11:30 a.m. we're gonna work. And what are we gonna do? Yeah, okay, we're gonna get the color pick to work. That's what we were doing. Okay, what is the error? There we go. Okay, so what if we did I want this to show the dialog if only after the user has typed a specific symbol. So if the user types in @ then it should show, but also later down the line Okay, let's just see what happens here, because I don't really know. So if text contains @ int if first index, what if we use this method and we put it here? Projects that add current part. Okay, let's just run it. See what happens. Task @ test @ okay, so now it doesn't do what we want. So the thing is, I know that this parse input string, I know that method does what we want. Show color picker. Show color picker. Okay, so it still shows up. That's good. You could try keeping count of symbol occurrence and display it when it changes. That's probably a really good idea. Okay, so let's ask Copilot to do this. I want to track of symbol. I'm just going to copy what you're writing because I thought that was really good. Occurrence and print each time a new at appears in the text field. I feel like I just did the same thing, but hello at. Okay, so it doesn't print the first at, so already it's failed. Now it prints it, now it prints it, now it prints it, and it just keeps printing, keeps printing, keeps printing. So that's not what we want. This means that I need to figure this out myself. And we do have this parse input, which actually does what we want. So maybe we can use it. List, list, list. Task at project. Okay. So we can have a task color, and we can have a project color, list color, list color, and then we have tag color equals an empty list. Okay, and change color. I can just comment that out for now. Color start color equals app color dot accent color. Start color. Happy birthday, Christian Av, or however you say that name. If Heath Ledger was in IT, this is what he would look like. Maybe. Character hashtag. If there's a current part to the appropriate list, add the current part to the appropriate list. Okay. So what we could do, we can check here which of these three lists is the longest. The list that is the longest is the one to add a color to. So we have a task list, project list, and tag list. And these will only populate once something has been entered in the text field. So So that means that we can, let's just print tags.length, actually. And then do $. Okay, tags Okay. So if we do task, we can see that task is the length of 1 because we've added it, and then we press that. Task is now the length of 2, and then we do an @ for a project, and then we have project is the length of 1. Now this is a bit clunky because this will run every single time the text field updates, which we only want okay. The color picker should only show up if the current character is at hashtag or nothing. Okay. Okay, I just need to use the toilet, but I'll be back very soon. All right. The VS Code extension that I'm using to have this happen, I don't remember which one it was, but maybe I can see my extensions somewhere. Material icon theme, I think it was. That's what makes my files look like that. Is that a large list of characters just to check against for alphanumeric only could? Static final var characters. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what we were doing here, but symbols, because we want certain symbols. But I don't remember where we used the list. If symbol does not contain the character, so we need this to only run. The problem is, my idea here is that when I type in task, and then maybe when I hit space, then we should get a color picker that shows up that's like, oh, what color do you want to set this to? And then when I press at, and I do project, and then press space, maybe actually space should be the signal to show the color picker. If maybe let's do, because I think this might be where we want, where we're doing it. Okay, that's not what we wanted. So if character wait, let's print the current part. Current part. Okay, so if current part is a space, if current part is equal to this, then conditions, okay, equal to, then we should print all this stuff. Okay, so what should happen now is nothing should get printed until we press space, which is true. And then tasks has 1. So when we press space here, this is where we want to then show color picker, show color picker. So if everything works the way that I think it should, then when I do task and then I say, okay, I'm done with that, I press space, and then we can pick the color for the task, and then we press got it, which is not what we want to have as the, I think it's kind of funny that the AI wants us to say got it afterwards, but anyway, tasks now contains 1, which can then tell us where to add the color in the color picker. So change color. In here we want to then set set the color. So the question is parse input string. We'll have this here. And then we'll do that. Okay, so we need to also make sure that this gets saved here, because right now, since the text field is in here and everything happens in here, it doesn't get sent back to the parent widget. But that's a problem for another day. We can write that as a to-do actually. To-do, make sure the text gets sent back to the text and color info. Time tracker widget. Okay. So now the idea is that since we know since we can see the length of these lists and we can see, wait. We need some way to keep track of if it's a task or a project or a tag when we show the color picker, because we want to add the color then that is picked to one of these lists so that we can then actually keep track of the color. Which I don't know the best way to keep track of this. I think what I was thinking was that we could keep track of the lengths of these, and depending on the length, we'll know which one to pick here. And that's one way to do it, but maybe it's not the best way to do it. wait a second, print current part. Task. Okay, so right now, when we print current part, we're printing the word here, and then we press space, we print nothing. So that means that current part is always going to be equal to the word. So we could do, we could create something called previous part here. String previous part equals method below. I want to track the previous word. Can you print the previous word? Previous word. Accept. Okay, so let's see what happens if we do this. Ask. Okay, so here we go. Task. Nope. Well, actually, maybe. Task. Got it. Task. I want to keep track of the previous word. So the thing is, I don't really understand these if statements properly. I know it works, but I just don't know, I don't quite know how it works. So the thing is, I can't like add an bool or anything like that. Like I couldn't add something that's like, is it a project or is it a task or is it a tag? I couldn't do anything with that because I don't really know where to add it. Okay, so let's check time tracker here. Okay. So we are doing that. So, okay. Tasks, project tags. Why do you need previous words? Why not just make a dictionary for each task in its color and make a parser to parse the string and add the colors based on its positions? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. It's just that in order to get there, we still need to keep track of, I think, where we're at. So we want to know, are we on the task or are we on the project or are we on the tag? Which in order to be able to do that, we need to know what is the word that we're looking at. We could also use this list thing, so depending on the lengths of the lists, so if we print tasks dot length, then we could use that, because when we do task and then space, you can see that we print 1, so we know that task list is 1. But the problem is so this would then tell us that if the other ones are 0 but this one is 1, then that means that we're on a task, so we should add the color to a task list. But once we add a project as well, so projects.length, then all of a sudden we'll get task, space, got it, and then project, space. So then we'll get 1 and 1. So then we won't know which one was it that we typed in, and the only way to know that, I guess, is to know if it's an at or a task. Unless we somehow keep track of the which one we added last. Tags. So if I feel like I'm using the wrong method. What if when checking if the word contains a special character, you won't remove it, so you can use it below to determine if it's a project or a task, etc. True, that would actually solve everything if we did that. Now, where do we remove it? So let's ask Chat or Copilot. Could you rewrite the code so that the special character not removed from the current part? Okay, let's see what happens if we print the word as well. So print okay, so task, it says task there, good, and then at project it just says project. hashtag tag. Okay, so that does get added, but the at, is that maybe because we do the substring thing? At project. Nope, that's not why. So let's. I believe the substring method on current part removes it. Hi, can you recap what you're doing? You should remove substring call on current part when adding it to the list. Should we have the trim thing though? Okay, let's just see what happens. At project. Okay, so that works. And then tag works. And then $, nope. $12. Okay, I think we're doing it the way that we need to. Let's try at again, project. Got it, and then at the. Seems to work. Okay. So that means that we can then, into the color picker, we can send a string, text. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm trying to think of like how to do this, because now we need, ideally we should be able to send a string in here, which is the current part or whatever, and we'll send that in here. Print current part dot trim. Okay. Ideally we want to send in that text here, but right now we don't have the text, so we need to remember that text somehow. So let's do string previous part and else previous part equals current part. And then if we print previous part, Did we solve it? Project. Yeah, I think we solved it. Okay, so now we'll send in previous part here. Part. And then do that. Go up here. Show dialog. String. Text. Change color. Should then take text. Unchanged. Okay, if hashtag and then else if yeah, Copilot is AI and you have to pay for it. It's like $10 a month, I think. What I saw briefly, does input like task will be parsed into tags, tasks. Yeah, exactly. That's what will happen. So now we need to set the state. No, we don't need to set the state, do we? We just need to do project color dot add color and then tag color dot add color and then task color dot add color. Okay, I think we have it now. So when we scroll up, we do task, space, then we can set the color to be something, got it, and we can then print the color just to maybe show that we are doing it correctly. Task color. So that should then have something in the list if everything works correctly. So task and then space, set the color. And then got it. Wait, what? Okay, so here is when we need to do the stuff. Okay, so now this should do what we want. Task, space, select the color, and then it will print that we have a color set for the task. In my opinion, having to manually add colors to my task would be so annoying. Why not just have a set of predefined colors for each project, task, and tag, then when adding it, have it select one. Yeah, I think that's true. I understand that you'd feel that way, I guess, but I think personally, I would rather myself be able to choose the color than have the app choose the color for me. But that's just my personal opinion. But that's really good. Now we have a color picker that's actually working. And we can set the color to whatever we want. I was thinking of having maybe a predefined color. Like finding some sort of like harmonic color scale, or I don't know what it's called really, but there is a way to choose colors that kind of sync together nicely and that fit within the app nicely as well. And that could be a choice, or that could be something that could be done where the app will automatically, unless the user wants to set the color, the app will automatically set colors for you. That's definitely something that will be an option at some point, but to start with, I just want to be able to, as a user, pick the color myself. Oh yeah, that's true too. With the, so what you're saying is that if I do task and then space, and then I say that, oh, this is going to be this specific color, and I say got it, and then let's say that I want the project to be the same color as that. It seems like it actually starts at the same color again. Oh, it does actually start at the same color again, but still doesn't matter too much, I guess, because your point is still valid, since let's say that the project, I want the project to be a different color, but then I want the tag to be the same color as the task. Then tag, spacebar, I will end up on the project color and not whatever the task color was. So it's still a valid point. But I think it maybe is one of those things that can be an update or something that can be fixed later on. But to start with, it's maybe not super important at this point, I don't think. For the scope of like a beta version of the app. But it's definitely a good point, and I think I should write that down somewhere. For the dialogue, I think, here. To do, create a color palette for the user. Another to-do is that, let's say that we add in a task that we already added, or that when we delete stuff, this window pops up. So let's say that we add programming here, and then press space. If it's a task that we've already done, then the color picker shouldn't show up. So that's something that needs to be addressed, I think. If the task, project, or tag already has a color, then don't show the dialogue. Okay. And now we have 3 minutes left on this stream. Is Copilot better than ChatGPT in your opinion? Today is literally the first time that I've used Copilot, and I haven't used it that much. I feel like it's about the same from my experience so far with the things that I've asked it today. It doesn't seem like it's that much better. Maybe it is, but just for the things that I asked it today, it did not necessarily feel like it was that much better. Although it did some really good things, like it created this this entire color picker text field thing. It created this entire logic almost for me, which is really cool. Will you display the color selected for the task too before saving this new task? Actually, something that would be really cool is if we set a color for this programming here, if I set the color to be this, it would be kind of cool if the text updates to be the color of whatever color I set for it. Maybe that would be cool, I don't know. It kind of depends. Because if I set it to be some sort of purple, then I won't be able to read the text anymore. Have you ever tried Find AI? Find AI. I haven't tried it. Implement 3D parallelism using PyTorch. Ah, okay. Would be pretty interesting. Find AI VS Code. With code selected, Okay, so maybe I can add it to. Have you got the to-do tree and to-do highlight extension installed? Makes working with to-dos in VS Code a lot easier. To-do tree and to-do highlight, no. To-do tree. We'll install it. And to-do highlight. Ah, okay. Highlights them. Did you manage to buy Copilot? Yeah, I've been working with Copilot now today. To-dos. Okay, nice. That was actually a really good extension, I think. What do you think about Swift versus Flutter? I don't know, I think it's two different things, but I obviously choose Flutter, but that's just because I feel like it's better to develop for two places at once instead of just one place or one ecosystem. But yeah, I'm gonna have to run now. Literally, I'm gonna go for a run and we'll see. I think I'll be back tomorrow, but it all depends on how things go. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me on this stream today and hanging out, helping me and suggesting different extensions and types of AI that I could use, or just helping me make progress in this app. I'm really excited about it. I feel like I'm very close now to actually having something that I can use on my own phone and then release as a beta version as well. You're a source of inspiration. Thank you so much. That's what the purpose of the videos and the stream and all that stuff is. It's just, I hope it will inspire you to just work on your own things and show you that if I can do it, anyone could probably do this. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next